This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
We're going to go ahead and start. Let Ted come in when he gets here.
Can I add something to the new business? Just small item. Just
Sure.
Book and print fest as a line item. Book fest or whatever. What was it called before?
We have a discussion about poetry and literary programming.
Yeah.
I will give a very quick update, and
Great.
we can
Chime in there,
together.
and the new business is right after that.
Yeah.
So before we
Just
close.
so I don't forget and as we rush out the door.
Okay, right. All right, so like I said before, this is going to be a meeting about Art Walk and the vote mostly, and then we will have discussion about the poetry literary programming. Get to that. So we met.
Public speak.
Public speak. First of all, let's approve the
Turn it
minutes.
off.
Yes.
Recording room.
Yes. Oh,
Did
sorry, I
everybody
thought
have a
public speak
chance to look over the minutes?
You look great.
Motion to
I do
approve.
great
Okay.
minutes.
Second.
Okay, great.
All those in
All of those in favor?
good
Hey,
time.
Ted, are you in favor of the minutes?
Sure. Yeah.
Woo!
All right,
Truth is, I forgot.
Here they are. Here they are.
all right.
Don't have to admit that.
Well, both is true. I forgot, and I just had just gotten home. So here I am, nevertheless.
Great, thank you. All right, so public speak. Does anyone have public speak? All right, so we are going to go launch into this discussion that we have, we've been talking about this for a while. We finally got the results of the survey back. We met with the venues. Oh, we need to hit.
I did.
Oh, okay, great. We're being recorded, yeah. So we met with the participating venues, and so we had a lively discussion on Wednesday. Is that Wednesday?
Yeah, I can't.
It seems like so long ago.
It does.
Yeah, and so we are going to kind of weigh in on what we have come up with, and then we're going to vote for what day, whether we want to change Art Walk, and then have a discussion around that. So, do you want to kind of launch in on
Sure.
the survey? Let's start with the survey first.
Sure. I put together this little one sheet for everybody that gives a sort of, I think it was intended to be a succinct overview of what this process has been. And it basically acknowledges that we're in a discussion about potentially changing the day of Art Walk. And also acknowledging that that's one aspect of improvements that we are making to Art Walk. So this board unanimously approved increased funding to support Art Walk marketing in the form of radio ads and social media campaigns. We got our banners. We have funding for additional live music, performance, and poetry during each Art Walk in the coming year. And we've made significant improvements to our website as it directly pertains to Art Walk, with the newsletter sign up added to the page. Thank you, David. And an event map, as well as exploring opportunities to work with an intern. So I just want to kind of acknowledge the context that we are having this discussion in. And yeah, overall, we collected 73 total surveys, 21 from venues and 52 from community members. We hosted an in-person gathering of Art Walk venues, as Tracy mentioned, to review the survey results, engage in a discussion, and to make a recommendation for a date and time for Art Walk moving forward. The group that came together consisted of 7 different venues across the 3 districts. We only had one representative from Cottage Street, and I'll mention that they are one of the 4 venues who have not been able to participate once we switched to Thursday nights. So there have been 4 formally active, consistently active venues who can't participate on Thursdays for a variety of reasons. One event programmer, our poet laureate, was there. I had included on the list of venues people who regularly program, so like Unbuttoned folks in particular. And then 2 ECA committee members, Tracy and Steve, as well as David, but you were really there as Moonlit Sea Prince. And then I facilitated it. I will say, and I think it's really important to acknowledge, and we won't spend a lot of time on this, but I do want to say that in hindsight and sort of in mid-sight while it was happening, I wished I had gone about the voting process differently, because I think it initially yielded some results that didn't quite reflect what was being shared in the room for almost 2 hours at that point. And so we kind of scaled back and just simply asked the group what the preference was of Thursday versus Saturday. And the results were 3 Thursday votes and 7 Saturday votes. That includes a vote by David, who had expressed before he left the meeting
That
anything but Thursday, and he's been very involved and said that. But I do, just for total transparency's sake, want to acknowledge that he was at the meeting and had to leave before we voted. We also voted much later than we had intended. So that felt clear. I also didn't vote. Looking back, I wish I had, specifically with regard to ECA Gallery. And not so, I was feeling like as my role, I'm gonna not vote. But I'm like, no one was there to like specifically for ECA, but that's just like context. So then we had a discussion about the first Saturday of the month or the second Saturday of the month. Second Saturday is what it had been for a long time. There's nice alliteration. A couple of things came up. When there are many times when, the second Saturday can literally be the 14th of the month. And, or maybe it's the 13th, but like the second Thursday is like the 14th this month. So I think it can be. Yeah, it can be. So there are spaces that hang their shows ahead of the next art walk. And so it can take 1 to 2 weeks away from when that is. So there was some interest in having it be the first Saturday as opposed to the second Saturday to increase the exhibition times. And then
it was also
for
noted
people to remember that was one thing that really came back through the surveys, is that people like the second this, the second that, it's like they never know when the heck it is. And that has been an issue. And that we heard from venues, hearing from their artists and like their communities, and also from the community members who responded to the survey. Yeah, I personally think it could be helpful to not to go someplace where it wasn't where we started. Just for like, that's just my own personal.
There's only so many days in the week.
Wait, where did you start?
I don't want to hear about it.
Started at second Saturday.
Okay. We did it for second Saturday for like years. So like
Okay.
I can just like feel and like anticipate, but that's just me. Side note, sorry, it's probably not. I shouldn't mention that. The other
Northampton's second Friday? then?
Second Friday. The other thing that came up that is very significant is that people in that room, and this had not been discussed before, ever, but it's something for us to talk about tonight, is that people all around that room, for different reasons, were interested in a 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. event. And part of that had to do with City Space has many events on Saturdays, which they have some events on Thursdays, but not nearly as much. Saturday nights are like a big thing there. And the shows tend to start at 7. And so there's going to have to be quite a lot of like negotiating, navigating shared space, different needs, and like competing needs in some cases. And starting earlier just kind of like creates more of a buffer and softens that. Burns, Tracy is also on the City Space Board, and Jean-Pierre is also on the City Space Board. The three of them were there, and this has been discussed at City Space Board meetings. They're not opposed to having it on a Saturday, but like that shift would be very helpful. Also, we've been hearing from a lot of venues that staying open later than they're already there is like a big lift. Sometimes it involves paying staff, sometimes it involves not being home with families. There are many reasons, and so having it an hour earlier all around can help to alleviate some of that feeling of an extra lift.
They also mentioned they're there anyway, so it's like not
Cottage Street.
Yeah, the Cottage Street businesses
In particular, and Jean-Pierre. But even if they're staying open an hour later, it feels very different than like 2 hours plus. So I'm sharing this just to let you know what happened in that conversation. And then I also just listed here what the votes were on the surveys as far as people liking how it was going and being open to a change. So what I'm hoping for tonight is to have some discussion. It's 5:25, and you know, we'll see how the discussion goes. But I'm hoping we could, if possible, plan to vote around 6, if that feels sufficient. And then that leaves room for discussion after the vote. One last thing I'd like to talk about tonight is a timeline and plan for the rollout and what that will look like. At our last meeting, we had discussed the possibility of April. That is too soon for venues, but it seems that May or June is ideal. I think May feels a little early, especially if it's the first Saturday, if it ends up being in the earlier part of the month. And then, but like, yeah.
June, well, no, actually, it's Cultural Chaos the second Saturday?
It's the second Saturday.
Okay.
So it could just be like Party City in Easthampton.
So I think we first of all, I think we need to vote on whether we're changing the date from a Thursday to a Saturday, and then we're going to vote on which Saturday or
which Thursday. And at the meeting, there was, interest was expressed among the Thursday folks, changing it to first Thursday. We did talk about Fridays. It just, like with Food Truck Friday, it just seemed like not to, like, choose to not compete with that. We also did it on First Friday for a year, and it was...
I think more people were talking about Saturday. I mean, the read in the room was Saturday was the more preferable day overall. There were still some holdouts for Thursday. So I think we just want to just need to, I think, say, are we keeping it the same or are we changing it? And then we'll go on to a vote on when we change it.
And one last thing, I'm so sorry. All three of the people who preferred Thursdays have been followed up with. And Easthampton Media cannot do it on a Saturday. They can't do it every month. They talked about a quarterly thing. They also talked about interest in being a media partner of ours. At a few art walks a month, they can be out on the street getting information from folks and getting stories. Tracy followed up with Burns. I followed up with Jean-Pierre. They both prefer Thursday, and they're both really on board with Saturday and just feel like they're ready to move forward with whatever it is. So
I think City Space in particular, and maybe Jean-Pierre, it really did like the 4 to 7 idea. She was really, oh, really? That's a possibility? And I said, yeah, that's, so that was a real, I think that was what changed her stance. I mean, even though she was open to Saturdays, it really made it feel better for her.
yeah, and Jean-Pierre said the same thing.
And I've noticed that Oxbow tend to close at 7 anyway when they have, so it would align with your openings as well.
Yeah, and a lot of the feedback from some of the members is like, we live in Vermont, we're 75, we don't want to drive. Like, it's just better for them, like, if it's a little earlier, and
Yeah.
Saturdays for sure, like getting, friends from out of town in for their openings. And it'd be nice, it could be like opening into Arts Walk, like, so,
Yeah.
good package, so,
Yeah.
okay, I'm ready to vote.
And the other thing that came out, and this is what we'll be doing, what we started to do. We've already talked about this, but it was educate, educate, educate. And I think that the earlier time kind of does make it for like, oh, you can have art walk, then you can go to have dinner, or you can go to the performance at the Blue Room, or you can go to Luthier's, or you can go to whatever you're doing, or get home and go to bed early, so that can be part of the messaging, and also like tabling at various places. There's some ideas that came up that we won't talk about right this second, but so I feel like it was some really good things came out of that meeting, and so I think we've got some clarity here, and so I feel really good about it. I know that it's not a silver bullet, and I know that not everybody's going to be happy, but if we can, make the best of it and make the most people happy. Anybody else want to say before we take a vote?
Well, I have a question. So I know that, David, you've been helping a lot with the marketing side of things, and we have a lot of planned updates on that end. So I guess my question is, do we have to make a change right now? Because thinking from like a scientific mindset, if I'm trying to run a hypothesis, I don't want to change multiple variables all at the same time. I want to change one. So I'm just curious what we would think about seeing if the marketing efforts change anything for the current Thursdays, or if we're like, no, we just want to. It sounds like the consensus is we want to make a move. So the voting is almost more about, is it first or second Saturday? But I guess I'm curious why we don't want to see if the marketing works first before we go down the pathway of making the huge shift to a Saturday.
So we haven't really launched major marketing efforts yet, because it would create a conflict if we're telling people, come out for Thursday, and suddenly come out for Saturday.
But that's my point, though.
Right. So right now,
if we say come out for the existing art walk, and then all of a sudden our problems are solved, then why go through the whole thing? I guess that's my thought, right? It's like,
no, I definitely hear you,
know.
because I'm in what I do with my analytics work. I'm always testing hypotheses like that. The problem becomes us investing more into it to just reaffirm this. Mm-hmm. And I think part of it is that we're losing venues' interest in being part of this, because it's been a year and a half of Thursdays, and everyone's running low on patience with Thursday turnouts.
yeah. But
I've spoken with. I can't speak for everyone.
And just so you all know, like, I'm not like Thursday or die, like it's fine if we make changes, but I'm also looking at the survey votes. I'm like, people are satisfied with Thursdays.
The people who turned out are satisfied with Thursdays.
that's always been our issue around surveys, right?
Correct.
And that's always been, that's been my drum I've been beating. What about the people we're not hearing from?
Totally.
But even this group that we had Wednesday is such a small percentage. Like, I don't think we should have had them vote at all because I don't think it's meaningful. But that's aside. But what we do have is the 70-some people who did share their thoughts. And there is satisfaction. So I'm just offering it as something, like, again, for us to just think about before we say, like, gung-ho, let's do this huge, big shift. So
Totally understand.
I
So
think-
speaking from my own gallery, like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it much longer if it's on Thursday, just because it's not worth the turnout. And I know other gallery owners that have said the same thing, that it's just no longer turning out to be worth the turnout. That we really do need a new energy because people will be dropping out of that participation.
Yeah, I think that we'd lose a number of people if we kept it to Thursday.
And like some of the Cottage Street that already have dropped out.
And we have lost people because
Yeah.
of Thursday.
And Luke, on your floor,
Yeah.
can't do Thursday, so it would,
I think, well, what came out on Wednesday, I think Jason brought this up, was what we're doing is essentially, because it was on Saturday, and JP, before Jason brought up the fact they moved it from Saturday because the feeling was there was too many events competing on Saturday. There's too much stuff already going on Cottage Street, for example. And then Jason brought up, like, basically this is us just saying no one wants to come to Art Walk anymore, so we have to, like, kind of glom on to what's already going on. So rather than avoiding days that are very busy, let's choose the day that's very busy because there's already people out and they'll just find Art Walk. I think that just points to the fact that there's not been marketing. And I don't think, and it was very clear talking to the people on Wednesday that, like, the bigger problem is not the date. The first vote we actually took, it was pretty much tied between Thursday and Saturday between the venues. The problem is just the marketing. It was 8 and 9.
but it was also a list of many possible dates and times.
Right.
It really was not.
So,
think
I mean,
it's
just
okay.
speaking from my own perspective, I'm all for changing to the Saturdays. It means that I won't be able to attend anymore because I have events on Saturdays. But it seems like Art Walk needs a rebrand, and this would be a good way of doing that. I will say we should not change the date of Art Walk again for years. I don't think this is the solution. I don't think it'll solve anything. I think if it makes people happy, we'll try it. But I think the solution to the Art Walk problem is not in changing the date. And I do think that changing the date a third time it shows a weakness of the brand, and it's like not a good thing. But we can try to rebrand. I think the marketing is what's going to be key, and actually telling people about our walk and getting them interested.
Well, we're aware of that, and we are trying to, this whole, meeting, and we have been talking about it the last meeting. So I'm excited about what we've put in place to come. We haven't done it. You're right. The marketing has been not as good as it could have been, just in the sense of we're relying on regular means of marketing, like social media. And so now we realize we have to up the ante on that. And so I think with that, you're right, the date may or may not be arbitrary, but what's happening is we're losing vendors. And the more vendors that are
And
participating is the more robust the night is. So that is really the reason we're losing
Right, but-
all of these,
But
No, I get-
if people came on Thursday, would you be more interested in being open? The problem isn't Thursday; it's the fact that no one's coming.
So
But
it's
it can
both.
also be Thursday.
I think it's
So I
both.
think
Thursday.
I
trying
don't
to
think
get
it's-
people out on a Thursday is
Yeah.
a harder ask
I agree.
Yeah.
than getting them out on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, I know, like, if they're already out, they're going to then be more apt to go into a gallery that's open. for-
I don't disagree with that. I'm just
I think it's like, forgetting Thursdays, but like asking people to go out on a Tuesday night from 5 to 8 is impossible. Like we all know, we're like, I'm not going out on a Tuesday night. I've got X, Y, and Z to do. Thursday's not much better. I think think Jason said, he's like, it used to be that Thursday was like the lead into the weekend. But
Yeah.
it's not. It's Thursday. It's the day after hump day. Like, it's still part of the working week, right? It's a harder ask.
I also want to say, I can see how it's obvious to me that it could be perceived as a weakness to change the day. It's also been like how to maintain and keep alive a thing through like so many changes. Like, take COVID off the plate. Look at Easthampton. Like, when Art Walk started, it was literally the only regular arts and culture event in the city of Easthampton that happened month to month. And everyone came out and we drove around the city. And Jeff Bagg, on your second to last day of work, isn't gonna like me saying this, but there didn't used to be traffic. There were plenty of places to park. It was like really different driving around on a Saturday night. It was, and that's when I was here 7 years ago. And then you throw COVID on.
Something to consider, you just brought it up, that there's no parking anywhere on Saturday nights. Saturday.
I mean, but there is.
There actually is, and that's like, to Jeff Bagg's efforts, like a signage, like an education issue, and not actually, there's actually like a lot of empty parking lots, empty parking spaces on Saturday night. But I just want to say,
and here's where you
Totally.
park.
I mean, it's all.
it really is.
It's all
but I
tied
just
in
want to
together,
say,
for
and then
sure.
there was COVID. I
But were you
personally
just, I thought you were just saying that it used to be a day where we can go drive everyone to park, and now it's very busy.
Well, now you just can't park right in front of the establishment.
Yeah, you have to walk a block.
I'm saying there's more going on. What I'm saying is Easthampton has changed a lot. And what people want from from like what they do with their, time, it's changing. And like there's other things going on. There's like music venues. Even like during COVID, we have like 3 new music venues that are like doing great stuff. So I
will just point out that Marigold gets quite busy on Wednesday nights.
I just want to finish my thought, which is to say, I think that perhaps last year going to Thursday happened too hastily. And I think that what we're doing now has been a really thorough, thoughtful effort. We're doing it right. It's been right by our public. It's been right by our venues. And I really, whatever the outcome is, I just hope we're all like, it's a unified message going forward. And I think we're all on the same page in terms of how we want to support this. But I knowing the ins and outs of what this process has been over the last few years, I don't think it's a weakness. I think there's like, it's been really hard, and there's been a lot of earnestness and like trying to do the right thing. And it like hasn't looked perfect, and it hasn't been perfect, but I think we're persevering, and like, I think we'll be stronger as an out, at the end of all this, meaning the process itself. I just want to say that.
All right. Shall we take a vote?
Is there anybody
Anything
else who
else?
has any thoughts?
I'm pro Saturday.
So should we say all hands in favor of Saturday?
It's just like a 3-tiered vote.
I was gonna say, how are you structuring this
Is it
vote?
like-
Or no,
Vote to
let's
change.
vote to change. Like, let's do that, sorry.
Yeah, one.
One vote at a time.
That's what I meant. Okay, so one vote at a time, we'll vote, do we keep it the same or do we change it? And then we'll vote on the day. All in favor of keeping it the same? Raise your hand. All in favor of changing it? Raise your hand.
Okay,
Wait,
wait,
I
wait,
don't
I
vote.
can't vote, sorry.
I need everyone who can vote, keep their hands in the air so I can do it.
I don't think you're allowed to vote, sorry.
You can't vote.
Okay, 5 people, correct? Okay.
And, well, no, you're not.
Wait, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, 6 votes.
Wait,
Six-
okay, I'm
six-
sorry. So who's voted here? Okay, thank you.
Tracy, Ted, you.
I'm sorry, I'm,
I
what?
know, I'm just,
You voted yes.
Apparently, yes.
Say
Was that you too?
Sure.
Okay.
yeah.
It's unanimous,
1, 2, 3,
even
4, 5,
Cindy,
6.
was, even though she's
Okay.
not a.
Yeah, unanimous,
official, she's-
technically Cindy.
But she was just explaining that to me.
I mean, I sent something in November, I never heard back, and then I just sent something in this morning.
For
Which
whatever
is- I
reason,
should
the
have done.
process of getting the approval sometimes takes a little while, so we'll leave it at that.
That was very diplomatic on the camera.
I should have
Okay.
followed up, I should have been more.
I'll follow up for you.
All right, so that was the first one.
Okay, so it's unanimous that we're wanting to change it. Okay, so do we want to change it to first? Do we want to go down that? Well, how do you think? Should we just
Do
state
we
the
want to change
date
it to maybe to a Saturday?
for Saturday?
Well, I think what we should do is we should vote, now that we voted to change it Saturday, and then we should say first or second Saturday,
Okay.
right?
And
If it's
does
a
changing
Saturday
it mean Saturday? I think that's just like to
Yeah.
formally establish, do people want to change it to a Saturday? You
All in
ask.
favor?
Does everybody want to change it to the Saturday?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
6.
all right, now, do we want to change it to, so we're gonna vote for the first Saturday, and then we'll vote for the second Saturday. How's
And I
that?
just want to say, we don't want to do it in the second half of the month because it gets very confusing and like with lots scheduling, all sorts of things. Okay, just so that all the
I think
bases
we're all
are
in
covered.
agreement, third and fourth gets too wonky.
Yeah, it's really,
Oh, okay.
And we've been there, it's the second you've been there, so there's no choice.
Was there like a preference among folks? First or
people
second?
liked the idea of of first Saturday was like in the discussion at the meeting.
Because it's easy to remember, although the alliteration of the second Saturday was also tossed out.
I think also not having our art walk the day after Northampton's art walk.
Yeah.
It's a nice
That's
separation.
something we've never talked about.
Yeah,
It's a nice separation to say ours is this week, theirs is next week.
And theirs
Yeah.
is the second week.
Ours
And theirs is the
first.
second Friday.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the options we're discussing is first Saturday.
Yeah.
So there'll be a nice enough separation.
so, okay, who's in favor of first Saturday?
Wow.
All right,
Who's in favor of second Saturday?
Well, that was everybody.
great.
You're like, just to cross the
Just-
Ts and
just
dot
that.
that.
Can I vote for everything?
All right, so,
And then the time.
okay, so
Wow,
the
this is like
last,
Well, I mean,
know, it's
now's
like
the
a marathon
time.
of voting.
the last vote on Art Walk is the time. Should we change it to 4 to 7,
From 5 to
from
8.
5 to 8?
Yes.
In favor of changing it?
Wow.
Great.
I think this is the best. Changing it an hour earlier is on Saturday, especially on
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, I think
No,
that's
I think
lot.
that's great.
If it's
I
Saturday,
do
it has to
too.
be.
It was
It's a
a
nice
total
setup to, like,
surprise to
going
me
out on a
that
Saturday.
surfaced, and it's like, everybody's like, yes.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, and just to be clear, like, for the discussion purposes, I like to just have a discussion
Yeah.
before.
Oh, me too.
No,
Just
it's
to make sure we
important.
don't leave any stone unturned. So just know, like, none of this is meant to be antagonistic.
Wanting to do that has has helped make this whole experience so rich, and like, I really mean that.
And-
So it's important.
And all I'm trying to point out is nothing is clear cut. You know, like it wasn't like everyone wanted Saturday. There was definitely some people that still wanted Thursday, and so I feel like, you know, some other voices needed to be aired. But I'm very happy. Again, I think doing a whole rebrand with a fresh date is what Art Walk needs.
Yeah.
When I called David the next day after the meeting, because he had to leave early, and so I wanted to like fill him in, what was going on, blah, blah, blah. And he said something, just like, it just naturally came out, and he said, "It's a new day." And I really liked that as a little campaign, like, it's a new day, and it's a new day. So
Yeah.
can I sense the nods.
Yeah,
Can you run with that a little
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah, that's a
I
good
love
campaign.
it. It's like, it's a new day. Marketing guy. Way to bring it.
Yeah.
So can I ask a question now? Well, I'll high five virtually or across the table. But so a question for you and the group. So I actually meant to ask you this over the weekend when I saw you, and I totally forgot. But I was scrolling through Facebook a couple days ago, and I saw that we have an Art Walk Easthampton Facebook page with a logo picture that says First Friday. And someone posted a very weird post like 3 days ago that was like a picture of a dog cookie,
Biscuit.
and it was like LaDonna something something something. So I don't know what is happening.
Oh my
But you
God.
probably want to look into that because it was. I
saw
sat
it
there
too.
for like 10 minutes, being like, I told Steve, I was like, what is happening right now?
Oh my God.
So I think you should check that out because it was. I was like, I have never seen this before,
I
but
don't know who actually maintains that page.
it's got this fun little logo that I've never seen.
Yeah.
First Friday, and then the post was about a dog biscuit.
So who's managing that page?
So I don't know if like someone else has access to it.
I have the access. I have.
Ah,
Oh wait, it was a
No.
post?
LaDonna.
They posted it?
It's the post by Art Walk
Oh,
Easthampton.
my
So
So that
FYI.
must be like an admin from,
I don't think,
I'm going in there now.
Well, why don't we not go in there right now?
Yeah, so
because we're
I
on
just
the
wanted to
meeting.
flag that.
So,
Because I was
let
like,
us-
FYI, also a point of confusion for people who might be thinking it's
right,
the first
yeah.
Friday.
Right, so that is something that we should address, and
Well,
but let's do that after the meeting.
information,
Yeah.
yes.
So thank you for bringing that up. I do think that we really do need to really look at the Facebook page as well as the Instagram page. I know that the Instagram page gets a lot of love. I'm not on Facebook as much, so.
They all
Yeah, they all post,
100% post
yeah.
to.
Okay, so, but something to look at. So,
And Tracy and I will be meeting in the next week or two to reconnect about Art Walk and all of the things we've voted on, we've set money aside for, and we will, the timeline of rolling it out. That's an
Right.
important thing.
now Byrne seemed to like May, not that it meant, she's just one person, but.
How does May work for you, Cindy, for Oxbow?
I mean, I feel like people like the a little bit long. Look, we're not going to make everybody happy, right? But yes, like a little longer time is better because people do start,
So June?
yeah, I think June. Doesn't that feel like cultural chaos and like let the party start kind of like, I don't know,
It's summer in Easthampton.
summer in Easthampton.
Anybody else have any?
Well, I guess the question is, given what we talked about, that venues are unhappy, is that going to be an issue if we don't change it until June?
People will
The thing I like about the extra time is it lets us educate. Like, I think that it just really, we can bake it in and then I don't know. I think because it's the first Saturday, May is much sooner now than the
We
second.
have like a month, I would say,
I'm thinking
right?
of
Yeah.
50 Arrow, he would need more lead time in order to have everyone ready for the first Saturday
Of
of
May.
May.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm sure that's the same with other galleries. That's a little.
You know
too
what?
big.
The first Saturday of June is Saturday, June 1st.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That is nice.
It's like,
It's a new day.
it's also Asparagus Festival. That's where I'll be.
Should we,
But no, I was gonna say, we should do it on June
It's far
1st.
away, isn't it?
And we should,
It's in Hadley, it's over
I
the
know,
bridge.
I know.
yeah, it'll mostly be over.
Yeah.
It's-
you can do both Asparagus Festival and
But,
Art Walk on the same day.
Our first new day, our first Saturday should be our relaunch. It should be big. Like, we should make a big deal about it so that, and we should make an effort to do this, we actually get PR. Like, we want Mass Live, we want the Gazette, we want people to talk about this.
Yes,
Free advertising.
totally.
Well, the only thing, I guess my only concern about doing it in June is because of cultural chaos.
Yeah, that
and
is
there's like a lot of because there's a big buzz for cultural chaos, and it's all about cultural chaos. I feel like in June, it might get watered down, and May just feels like it's a little like, hey, and then cultural chaos. Like, that's just,
I think that's a
You know.
good point, actually.
Is there a way to use some of the performers or artists in cultural chaos and incorporate them the week before and make it kind of like art walk plus preview of cultural chaos?
Or like share marketing efforts to be using the Art Walk marketing to advertise for cultural chaos. And a little bit of vice versa, right? Saying like cultural chaos also, can't wait, check out Art Walk relaunching the week before, you know, that kind of thing.
yeah, although, I mean, we do that in terms of the, we have, you know, it's kind of the same social media. Like, it's the same.
No, but like in the Gazette or
Yeah.
just sort of like packaging
Yeah.
it
Okay,
together.
like also if we get any articles about cultural chaos, to be like, we're relaunching Art Walk. All the art stuff is happening in Easthampton in
I feel
June.
like June is going to be such a big month for Easthampton. First weekend
That's
Art
the
Walk,
headline.
second
And
weekend
that's what you
cultural
want.
chaos.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's like a story you can pitch and be like, look how much stuff is happening right now.
Just
Like,
talk to Owen, he'll get,
yeah.
Gazette to be writing it every day. But so tangentially to that, so even just the increased Facebook posting that Pascalina's been doing, our website traffic has doubled since we started posting regularly. That's just the beginning of it, but it's clearly creating a trend of more visibility that's really helping us. It hasn't translated into artwork, unfortunately, yet, but it is getting people into the newsletter. And
But
our
I-
It
newsletter-
was a big artwork.
It was a big artwork.
in
I beg to
February.
differ. I think that was a
Not where
good,
Eastworks.
Well, not upstairs, but
No, well, downstairs, we did a big push with 50 Arrow to get that many people to turn out. And he was tapping into the Smith art network in a different way.
I-
It was
Alright.
Okay.
divorced from art.
I will say
okay.
It was a
at
good
Old
turnout
Town
there.
Hall and at on Cottage Street, it has been a much larger turnout than it had been
Yeah.
in the
Um,
months before.
Second to that, though, so in preparation of this decision that we arrived, I started writing a letter to all my neighbors in Eastworks. Basically, I'll read it to you guys if you don't mind. Introducing myself, you may have heard that Art Walk is moving days from the second Thursday of the month to the first Saturday of each month. This is just the beginning of the changes that the ECA is planning for Art Walk. We're recommitting to making Art Walk an event worth attending and participating in. As a gallery owner in Eastworks who has been participating in Art Walk, I fully understand the frustrations. We're off the beaten path, the space is huge, and people get lost in the building, and it feels like we're disconnected from the rest of the Art Walk community. I would like to change that. Participation in Art Walk does not have to be a big thing. You don't have to have a grand opening, have food or drink, etc. It can be as simple as you having your door open and a flag that we provide signaling you're participating, and then inviting people into your space to view your work and chat. We might be able to do more. We will continue to have those conversations, but just making Eastworks more open and inviting during Art Walk can be hugely beneficial to the arts in our community. You should consider participating. Visibility in the community and building your newsletter subscriptions, greater energy and collaboration among the artists in our building, and third, contributing to the energy behind Art Walk. The ECA is placing new resources behind Art Walk, from a social media and event promoter intern to enhanced email marketing and content marketing. We want to support you, the artists in our community, and your participation, even at the smallest levels, can help elevate this monthly event series. So I'm hoping to generate a whole lot more interest in Eastworks, and like I said, just people opening their doors.
I think
And I'm hoping that
that's the ask right there.
Yeah,
Totally.
and I'm hoping that all of this really helps generate that interest that we seem to be flagging right now.
I love it, David.
Can you share that? Like, can I use it?
Sure.
I don't know, yeah.
I'll send her out.
Yeah.
Good
Can you send it
energy,
to the
good-
committee?
Yeah, I can do that.
One thing another thing that came out during the Wednesday meeting is that it was Maddie McDougall and also Jason, a few people expressed that like there's all these new people in town. And like, they're not getting our newsletter, they're not on social media, like, they just don't know. And so they will go to Resilient Community Arts for their open drop-in studio and not know that they're at Art Walk.
Yeah.
And so it was, it was like, it just helped. It's like, yes, of course, except hearing it in that room in the context of everybody's experiences, like, really helped me understand it and see it differently. And so now that 50 Arrow is right in the middle of the hallway when you enter, we've been wanting to revitalize our volunteers around Art Walk and having a table right there and like a sign-up sheet and like, let's make a new brochure and like, let's have materials so that people understand like what they're participating in and like what they are a part of making happen. And maybe one thing, I don't know if you'd want to add this to that letter, but like, if any of you have any interest, like setting up a table in the, downstairs.
I didn't read that part. That's
Okay.
the last paragraph.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, but just like, it could be nice to have like different, like a presence when you walk in that feels welcoming and like vibrant.
Does the Paragon, do those other buildings participate in that?
No idea.
Don't
Not
really.
regularly.
Yeah,
They
no.
used to. There were different, there used to be another gallery in Paragon. There have been Daily Operation has participated a couple of times, but it's been a long time since there's been anything really consistent from the other mills.
We should reach out to the new local burger and see if it'd be a good
Yeah.
opportunity for them.
Totally.
I would.
That's a great idea.
Well, you might reach out to Paragon anyways. Because
I
there are
just
still.
I don't even know who to reach out to there.
I do.
I mean, I get lost in Eastworks, I get even more lost in Paragon.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's part of. Let's concentrate on Eastworks first, and then just because you do get lost in Paragon.
I mean, Keystone finally has coffee, so maybe, I might be in there more often now.
In the old Big Bear space or where?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Vegan Pizza Land.
That's right.
Now it's coffee counter.
Oh, nice.
And there's a new
Didn't know
coffee
it.
shop in Eastworks.
Really?
Where?
Yeah, where?
I don't know.
A
We're gonna get one.
new space though. It's not gonna take over a local burger. Just replace another restaurant.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about the coffee.
I think it's gonna be
I
next, right next to the DMV.
Good
Oh,
spot for it.
Oh.
I think so, but I could be wrong.
Map.
No,
No, not in that.
in the old
Oh, in-
And it used to be an
Puzzles.
antique
puzzle
store.
place.
Um,
Used to be a
Oh, yeah.
puzzle place. Yeah.
Escape room?
So back to the conversation about timeline and rolling it out. It seems like there's some interest in May, there's some interest in June. I can see,
I would like
Both
to propose
being-
June 1st and vote on it.
Can I ask a question actually? Is the plan that the art walk will stop until the relaunch?
no,
is
we'll
gonna
continue on the second Thursday.
It's gonna drag on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Bring it to the finish line.
Educating.
Three more.
It'll be fun.
Three
That's
more.
the spirit.
Find the people who really wanted Thursday.
They're
and
gonna
they
just
can,
drag that
last
bloody
through all.
leg right down the street.
Your final,
Yeah.
the final countdown
I know.
for Thursday plans.
That's why, one of the reasons why I wanted it for May was so that it wasn't,
I
Maybe we should
totally
you
agree.
know, and yeah, but
I totally agree. I just think it only gives a gallery roughly 6 weeks to change their scheduling around.
We should definitely have signage in the galleries in May,
Yeah.
letting people know next month. Because May could be a beautiful day and you can have a ton of people out because it's just a nice spring day. So we
Yeah.
want to make sure those people come back next month and on the right date.
And we also really haven't settled on a marketing plan yet.
We need to talk more. Now that there's this, we can now get a lot of ducks in a row to prepare. Okay, I think we need to vote.
I'm proposing the 1st of June.
okay, so who wants to go 1st of June? I mean, I want May, but I'll go with June.
You don't have to.
You don't have to vote May.
You don't have to vote for, you can vote for what you want.
We don't have to.
This doesn't have to be a consensus.
I'll go for May then, just because I'll be the odd duck.
I don't care. Can I vote for both?
No.
No. But you can
You
vote
have
for
to
May
vote for
too.
what
You
you
still.
You can vote for May, but you just can't vote for both.
Okay.
What would you?
So inconclusive.
I mean, I would defer to you because you're making the marketing, right? And you're participating in the marketing.
I'm just assisting.
Okay, so I would defer to you, Pascalina, on like what's real, what could actually happen.
I actually would like to go with the group. I do share some of Tracy's concerns around, this is like a big thing we're doing, and we're doing it 7 days before the biggest thing we do. So and we're this little organization that could. And so I personally, if I were to just be making a decision, that's not so much about the presentation of it and a little bit more about capacity and logistics, and just like the practicality of doing all that and like giving the kind of attention to the Art Walk relaunch that I feel like is really important. I would totally not choose the week of cultural chaos. And given our options, I would choose May.
Not July.
Those weeks leading up to cultural chaos are like, I am, no one knows, like, I am just running around, like,
I just think it's going to get lost, personally.
or it's like, yeah, I don't know. It makes me nervous, but also 3 more months feels like a long time of second Thursday. But I get it. I totally, from the outside, I can totally see how it could be. March, April, May.
March is next week. I mean, forget that.
No, I'm not forgetting that, because we've been talking about this since December, like our surveys went out in December. So I'm not saying, I'm just, you asked me.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Well, and you've swayed me. I would say May now, because of what you said.
Can I ask? Ask? Sorry, I mean to interrupt you.
No.
So I guess like my question is, I wonder if it's possible. It doesn't have to be today, even or now, but to break down what like you would need to do for Art Walk in June, because we have a lot of time. So in my mind, again, as someone who's not in your role, I think a lot of it has to do with the marketing plan and so what I'm thinking, the like week leading up to Art Walk, if it's June 1st, is more logistical coordination with venues, making sure they're all up to speed. Because if we're having an intern and we have us and other support, and especially the work that you're doing with David, I'm wondering if there's a way to front load as much as we can now, so that like March, April, even May are where the bulk of that work is done to get ready, so that the week going into cultural chaos and Art Walk and all that, you're really focused mostly on cultural chaos, but like maybe it's like each of us takes a venue and is the liaison for it, and like we are each assigned someone to be like, hey, have you, like in May, are you telling your people? I think there's ways to support it if we go forth with the June 1st, so that you're not like completely out of your mind running around, because I do think your focus should be on cultural chaos, but I'm just wondering like, what are the things that you can't pre-do or offload that has to be done like that first week or leading up to June 1st?
Okay, so I just did a count. So it's 63 days from today until the first Saturday in May. So it's plenty of time, I think, if that's what we're going to do. And I think by the time we get to the last 2 weeks where you're going to be running around, it should
The last 2 weeks, wait, are you saying June or May?
Once we get to the...
You just said May. Is that what you meant?
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Okay.
63 days till May 6th. So once we get into the last week or two leading up to that first event anyway, the marketing should be on autopilot.
Right, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
But then again, at 63 days, I think we do have plenty of time.
But I hear what you all are saying about the value of June 1st, cultural
It could be
a big
It could be a big
splash.
splash with a big
Yeah.
splash for like the month of June for arts in Easthampton.
And it's like, it could be like the summer schedule of like June, July, August art walks. Like, I think I totally, if I, like, I don't like to make, I mean, for better and for worse, I don't like to make decisions purely on capacity, like, driven things, because
I
then
think for cultural chaos, you have to have that
it
in
is a
mind.
reality.
And I think it's
like,
maybe like
it's
we may have
crazy.
voted hastily. Because I think these are good points we're bringing up.
But also, I mean,
So, like,
we can
the whole
still,
Street
let's just say we were to start it May 1st. We can still do the campaign for June being cultural chaos. June is the month for arts in Easthampton. We can still have that campaign for June, but we just start it in May. And that way, it's almost like the soft
soft launch.
opening.
It's a soft launch, and we can make, well, seriously, we'll learn. It's like there are things we didn't anticipate, like, oh, 4 o'clock, this and that. We have to make sure we have XYZ and still make a big splash for June.
When does the intern start?
TBD.
All right. And I guess like the question then is like, or the thought is with the galleries, because I know you had said, Cindy, you might want more time. So I hear that too. And I'm just wondering like, you know, I don't know what goes into it, like if it's more around like getting people to change up their opening dates. But I guess, and this is again, my question as someone who is not a gallery owner or involved, but like, do we have to tie Art Walk to a gallery opening? Because if May is a soft launch, maybe that's how we position it to galleries, saying, hey, if you can do this, great. If it's too soon for you, don't worry about it. Just have your door open. And then June is the date that you like do all the rearranging. Because I really do think that, and I obviously wasn't at the meeting last week, but Steve caught me up on a lot of it. I think that there's this idea that galleries have to be doing an opening of a show, but from the participants, like a public perspective, I don't care if a show is opening. I just want to like go into the space. So I think we could pitch it that way and be like, hey, you can't rearrange your schedule. Don't worry about it. Just have it be open and then rearrange and prep for June. Then that sort of gives us the best of both worlds a little bit.
I think one of the reasons, and I can't speak to all galleries, but I think one of the reasons why galleries like putting their opening date on Art Walk or other events is that it gives a perception of lots of energy. That you have your own list as the gallery, but getting even more people coming in because of these other tangential parts looks like a force multiplier, and it functions as a force multiplier. So by separating them, you might have 2 mediocre days as opposed to 1 spectacular day. I'd rather have 1 spectacular day than 2 mediocre days.
Yeah, but this is a transitory month for people. So it's not like this is not going to be like
I
forever,
think that-
right? So
I think it's just a way to acknowledge that it's a little soon.
Yeah.
And this is like no pressure. It's changing in May. And if it helps to just think of it as keeping your door open for the show that's already there, totally fine. And like we
That happens
appreciate your.
sometimes with Expo anyway, doesn't it? Yeah, that
Yeah.
they'll do an opening on another day and then they'll open it. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's not a problem.
I like
You're
it.
overcomplicating things. You're thinking about it too much.
I-
You have 63 days between now and May or June.
May.
You get the marketing out, and it's done, and you walk away from it, and you pay attention to cultural chaos.
It's the
Boom.
reality is that galleries like ECA gallery is booked through March 2025. I had to tell all the artists,
Yeah. So-
Art Walk might change,
So-
penciled, it might be the second Saturday. They've all penciled in second Saturday.
So you tell them
You're gonna be making some
Actually, I'm
fun.
glad I just remembered that. I have to let them all know. JK.
So you
Your
tell them-
Saturday,
It's very simple. You just tell them that, and like you said,
Suck it up.
if there's a show going on, if there's already an exhibit there, it's already there.
But do people, like, more than 2 months, do people send out invitations for
It's
galleries?
more like, I think some artists are making plans, like they're coming in from other places. They're, have a family reunion on May 4th, and like now they have to. So I do think that there are just some like case by case people and their schedules are like a mixed bag.
And then leaving off putting their pieces in frames until the last moment.
I would say I would pitch it as like an opportunity. Not only are you like gonna do your show the way it's always been planned, so don't worry about it. You'll have a second opportunity to get more people in on what otherwise would be a dead night or a slow night for you. So I think we pitch it, if we do it like that, that's how I would pitch it. Be like, yay, 2 times the fun in May, and then we're shifting in June. And if you're ready to go in May, great. But if you're not, like, see you in June on June 1st, and that's gonna be the big splash. But I think to Ted's point, like, let's not, I think what happens is we try to make every single person happy, and we just simply cannot.
I know. The one thing I can say is like the experience of the venues matters a lot to me and to Art Walk, like to this whole thing. I mean, one thing I can do is like call the 21 venues that responded and just say, will this, I mean, is that just ridiculous? I think we need to make a decision.
No.
You're right.
I would we make a decision and then send them an email. If you want to call them, great, but send them an email and be like, FYI, this is happening. This is the decision. Let me know if you have any questions, but otherwise, see you then. We're supporting you. We're here for you, but don't give them any like power.
This is it for the next, 10?
Ever.
Yes.
This is it.
Ever.
Yeah.
Being recorded.
I really, I really feel comfortable about the May soft launch because I do feel like that gives us that month. We can still.
I don't think we should call it. I don't think
I know,
we
I'm
should
not gonna
market it as a soft launch.
No.
Or
It's an internal.
This is an internal. Yeah.
We're gonna do it once so we can do it again.
No. I was never intending it to be
but I'm glad because
marketed
I think
for that.
that's really important. I also understand. I mean, these were unanimous votes tonight. Except,
Except for me.
Yeah,
So let's
you did a good job.
actually vote again.
Yeah, we didn't.
We need to vote again.
We need to vote again.
We need to vote again.
And then
Let's just.
That's funny. Is this
So
allowed?
I accidentally failed our last vote because I didn't vote.
all right. So so we had a discussion about the soft launch. Or about the launch.
You're the one who's going to be calling it the soft.
Tracy, I know you, and when words get in your head.
We had a discussion about the timeline. So let's vote again on the timeline. Who is in favor of May timeline to start Art Walk?
Saturday, May 4th, 4 to 7.
Oh, okay. I thought it was June.
No,
We've been talking about.
All right.
Okay, and who?
Number 63 date. You're the one who said everyone needs to get it together. No, but then.
Well.
And okay, who's in favor of June 1st?
Make it unanimous.
It's May 4th?
Yeah,
May the 4th be with you. Beautiful
Star Wars people walking around.
May the 4th be with you. I love
the
that.
4th be with you.
What a fun
May
way
the
to
4th be with the Art Walk.
I love that. May the 4th be with you. I love it. Write it down.
In the notes.
Got it. Write it down. It's locked in. Day. Imprinted.
And then it's a new day.
All right.
It's a new day.
Poetry literacy.
I like these.
Okay,
Very Star Trek themed.
Listen, people. Great meeting. We have 2 members who are leaving at 6:20. There is one other item on the agenda, and it's this poetry and literary programming. I would like to begin, and then is that okay with you?
Go ahead.
So, April's Poetry Month. In fact, I want to talk to you. I've been talking to poets. I've been talking to David. I've been talking to people. We had been discussing the possibility of like bringing back another larger scale literary event. David had brought up the idea, I think, at our December meeting about having like an Eastworks centered or focused or mill focused literary event in the winter, like meaning November or early December possibly. And the more I've thought about it and the more, like, there are a lot of different poetry programs going on in Easthampton throughout the month. I've been speaking with our poet laureate, Carolyn Cushing, and we have, we meaning ECA, has 4 one-off ECA poetry-related programs taking place in April. They are not all happening at the same time. They're a little here, a little there, one-off events in the ecosystem of poetry events in Easthampton in April. What I would like to do, and this is very much capacity driven, and I think this would be a really good thing, is shift there. So David's talked to folks at Eastworks, he'll tell you more, and there's a lot of interest and support in doing that. I would say it'd be like a one robust day to get started. I would say maybe November instead of December, but we can talk. And I would like to do that this year, and like just try to do something. We've got some funding, and I'd like to use some of it for the 4 one-offs and then shift the rest of it to like, we have Porch Fest. We had our meeting the other day. It will be the end of September, we believe. And then having it just sort of like fleshes out the calendar year a little bit. So that feels really good to me. I don't know what you want to add.
Okay, so I'm talking with a few artists, spaces, and Eastworks, and with Eastworks themselves. And the idea of a book and print fest, of one-day workshops, galleries, book vendors, there's the comic book guys, there's all kinds of different spaces in Eastworks that would love to participate and turn it into kind of a book and print fair, both for sales but also workshops and children's events, and really being engaged. And Eastworks is like, yeah, you can use downstairs in the hallway, there's the community room, like make it a building event. I was thinking sometime in the colder months, in that I know parents are always looking for things to do inside when it's miserable. And that seemed like a good thing to do, whether it's November, December, January kind of thing. Here's a full range of activities inside on a Saturday.
Maybe it can be the first Saturday of December.
Well, Eastworks has open studios in November.
Yeah, I think the
So-
open studios would be my.
Yes, it would, right, it would not be open studios.
It would not be that.
It wouldn't conflict with that, but this would be,
But I would think like January,
I
February.
I will just say, I didn't know all the details about like a book and print fair. I hadn't
Just play it
really
out.
Sounds
fleshed
good.
it all out. Maude, I know you must.
I just reacted because Press On is very much that model. There's concurrent tabling with independent vendors throughout the valley, with a focus on Easthampton-based independent presses and folks who don't have storefronts.
yes.
And then there's programming throughout the day that happens concurrently, and it's in partnership with the library, the youth programming at the library, with
Thank you,
Translate
guys.
Gender,
Thank
which
you
is
so
also
much.
youth
Have fun tonight.
focused,
Yeah, so
some
like all of
poetry
that.
readings
So it was
and
everything, I was just thinking paper, just
Yeah.
start at paper, and whether it's printmaking, there's the, I can't remember who they are, down the hall from me, that make like note cards and everything, printed on. There's letterpress people across from me, there's book people, like, it would just be a fun thing of workshops and vendors and everything within the space.
yeah.
I think that we should talk talk more about this and like what it could be, what might be conflicts.
Well, it
Or
wouldn't necessarily be a conflict, but it is kind of the same kind of thing, but just different time of
It's
year.
also very similar to like what our book fest used to be, and that receded before you even moved. Like so, but I think that there's a real opportunity here to like create something unique, and like maybe add or subtract as needed. And I want to make sure it feels good to you in your event. And all of that. But I think we should put it on the agenda for next month and spend the month between now and then getting our ideas and thinking about it. What might be, we can just be dreamy. And then allow time for a proper discussion. If that's okay to people.
We have plenty of time.
Yeah, I think that's something that we have time on. And Felicia had said, oh, January. When you said something about January, it's like January is dark for Art Walk. It might be a good month for something like that.
Yeah.
Then
And
it
like I was
doesn't
saying,
conflict with the open studio.
No, open studios is
But
November.
it's something
There's
we
so
can talk
many,
about.
there's like pros and cons to many
Yeah,
things.
But like midwinter, an
Right,
indoor
yeah.
event that's like a full day of activities sounds great.
Yeah. All right. Well, to be continued on that. Anybody have new business? All right. I think that concludes our meeting for this month. Thank you, everybody.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.